Welcome into another edition of New Track Record Podcast. Caleb Hatch with you. Justin Kinney will be joining us a bit later on, but first we are joined by the winner of the 2025 PRI Hoosier 500. You may recognize the name. We chatted with him last week, Robert Maleczka. Robert, thanks so much for coming back on, and congrats on the win.
Yeah, thanks, Caleb. Really appreciate it.
So let's talk about this race. You were running up front, obviously, starting on the pole and trading a lot of the course of this race with one of your Powerslide Motorsports teammates. And then you have a late caution, a little bit of green, and then another late caution. It felt like the 2023 Indy 500 finish all over again, a one-lap shootout to decide it all. And between you, Philip Kraus, and Adam Blocker, who you passed on the main straight for the win. First off, before all that, did you even think you'd get that final green flag lap at the end?
Honestly, no. As long as myself or one of my teammates won, I was going to be really happy with the result we had because we had by far the best car. And, the entire race, we just kept pushing the pace and getting the gap as big as we could. But once that yellow came with, I believe, 5 to go, I'm like, oh, it's over. So, it's disappointed, but also pretty happy for Phil. And then I had flashbacks of my favorite driver, Marcus Ericsson, kind of getting robbed there at the end of the 23 500. And I'm like, well, I guess I can kind of redeem him a little bit. But, I'm happy that, we were able to get that one lap dash to the line, but I guess selfishly I like kind of following the rules that we have in the past, and I kind of think it should have finished under yellow, but nonetheless I'm pretty happy to be able to win our community's biggest race. So you mentioned Phil Kraus, one of your teammates, was leading coming out of turn 2, then you kind of retook the lead. Then you go 4 wide going into 3, and then it's looking like Adam Blocker, who's kind of carved his way through, is going to make the move for the win coming out of 4. Then you got a big run. What was kind of behind you catapulting forward at the perfect time? Yeah, I guess I'll start from the beginning of that last lap. Going into the race, people might not know that we had a huge update 5 days before the event. We finally had the hybrid, which has completely changed the car in all ways. And we didn't really know how big the hybrid would be, big to passing cars and running in traffic and things like that. And yeah, so, Phil got a pretty good jump on me. And then I was able to get to his outside, just exiting turn 2. And I hadn't used any of my hybrid yet, and I knew a few of the cars behind me. I could tell by the start they got on the front straight that they had to use probably 20-25%. So I knew I had a little bit more battery than the cars behind me. And once, I believe Ty Keela, he popped out of line, and that's when I started to use my hybrid so I could at least stay side by side with him. And then Adam made a great move on the back straight to get below Phil there. And make it 4 wide temporarily and then 3 wide into 3. And, we know that the kind of lane 2.5, 3 is pretty hard to run here on the sim. And Ty wasn't really an issue going halfway through turn 3, so it was just between myself and Adam. And then, honestly, it came down to hybrid games where I was able to recharge my hybrid just a bit more than him in the north end short shoot and on the entry of turn 4. Off of 4, I was able to pop out a line just at the perfect time. And I think when we were talking post-race, I had about 15% more hybrid, which honestly made the difference because the full charge of hybrid for us is roughly a tenth, and I think I won it by like 0.015, which is exactly the difference in the speed of the hybrid I had compared to Adam. So it was pretty cool to see the update that we had come into effect as much as it did at the end there. I didn't expect for us the entire race to be as busy as we are now. But I give credit to these real life guys even more now because I know they've said they're really busy in the cockpit compared to years past, but I really have a new understanding and appreciation for what they do now.
When you were deploying the hybrid, was it just all out for a few seconds? Were you using kind of the trickle effect like we saw in real life Indy 500 qualifying earlier this year? What was your strategy?
Yeah, so you can change it. There's quite a bit of options, which, it takes time to run through. And, we found that being able, at least in the race, we haven't done any qualifying with it because the update came out after qualifying, but at least for the race, being able to just deploy the hybrid as quick as you can was more beneficial because then you can kind of carry the speed. And we don't really have as much scrub as they do in real life in the corners where, it's easier for us to carry that speed. Really the only place we couldn't really deploy a hybrid is kind of later on the straight where we are carrying so much speed that we are scrubbing and in turn putting too much heat in the tires. So, that hurt us. But as long as we were deploying the hybrid, the first kind of third of the straights, that was the best place for us to do it.
Robert, winning this race after finishing second last year, just the turnaround for you, did you feel like you'd have this opportunity again? Or when you came out of last year, you feel like, okay, that was my best shot and it just is what it is?
Yeah, honestly, 100%. I definitely thought I had at least one more shot and honestly multiple more because my big weakness has always been qualifying. And, went into the fall there and kind of analyzed looking at my teammates' data and just honestly kind of what they do in real life in a way, and knowing that eliminating scrub through driving or through turning, I should say, is such a big part of qualifying, and kind of found my weakness in what I was doing wrong in qualifying, with able to start on pole position, which is ideal, and then knew I had the racecraft and knowledge of how to get through traffic, especially lap traffic, which was actually a really big part of this race, and then also being on a hot, greasy track. We've seen in the past where things can get really spread out when it's really hot, but oftentimes it's the most difficult situations where you're slipping and sliding, the rear stepping out on you all the time, and you're just going to have to manage that with your hands and with your feet. So it was it was a tough race, good one to win. But I'm confident in myself that that's not my last chance to win, and hopefully I can go back to back, kind of like Joseph did.
You did mention the weather, where iRacing, again, trying to make it as real as possible. The weather is a variation. How does that work? Like, do you know the conditions leading up? Like, is there like a forecast on iRacing that you can kind of view, or is it, it's race day, here are the conditions, I have to adjust accordingly?
Yeah, so unfortunately on iRacing, that the weather in this car do not mesh well. Either we have a Freedom 100 style race where the guys are 3 or 4 wide every lap, 2 or 3 rows back, or we are just very spread out and it's insanely difficult to pass, probably harder to pass than in real life. But we're lucky that marbles don't really exist on iRacing yet, and we're able to use multiple lanes, which kind of help us enable passing a bit more in the hotter temps. But yeah, to answer your question, you can do dynamic sky, which is, you can set a start time, and then the sim will just kind of generate a forecast for the day. Either it's, a clear sky day, blue skies and sunny, or even overcast, and anything in between. So, we had a partly cloudy day in Indianapolis. I think the track temp was around 117, 118. But interesting about iRacing track temp is that they give you an average. So, in real life you can see at least if you're on pit road, you can go to the Firestone pit box and they'll have a little screen that has the track temp on every corner. That's actually one of my favorite things to do during Q and see how that changes in real life. But we don't have that information available to us. We just have the average. So you kind of have to guess those first 15, 20 laps of the race to see what corners are a bit cooler or what corners feel a bit cooler. and which corners are just terrible to drive in. And it seems like this year that turns 1 and 3 were the cooler ones. 2 wasn't that bad, but turn 4 was terrible for us. It seems like it was 15, 20 degrees hotter than anything else. So, yeah, it was with the dynamic sky we kind of had there. It makes it tricky, but that's what makes racing fun, is having to adapt to the conditions that you're given, and whoever adapts the best usually comes out on top or has a really good result.
So obviously this is going to be one of the longer sim races that you do throughout the season. I guess what's next for you? What's the next event you're looking to do? And obviously I assume this is the feather in the cap so far in your sim racing career.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. I'm very lucky that I've now won all 3 of our community's biggest events with the in May the week of Indianapolis qualifying. We have the iRacing Open 500, which is the setup, or open setup, which is you can build your own setup like this event was. I was able to win that in 2024, and then also in 2024 I was able to win the iRacing Fixed Indy 500, which means everyone's on the exact same setup, and makes it more nerve-wracking, and you guys definitely much bigger names across the board on iRacing, with a ton of road guys and NASCAR guys joining as well. But yeah, coming up just in under a month now, we have the iRacing Pro Series, which is really intense, probably the hardest series we have in general. And every race is an all-star race because, our little team kind of represents the community on Power Slide. And we're going against some monsters and incredibly skilled drivers. Most notably Team Redline, which is famously owned by Max Verstappen. Teams like Coand, which is a huge team in sim racing, and Drago as well, along with Williams Racing, which they're a partner with Williams F1. So the best on best is really what it is, and iRacing done a ton of hard work behind the scenes to give us I believe a $50,000 prize pool. My teammate Phil came in second last year, and I was able to finish 4th out of 33 runners. So we'll see how we do this year. There's one less oval, which that definitely hurts us because we are easily the best on ovals, and we know we can crush anyone on there. But when it comes to road, and honestly, this car is feeling different on road. We really honed in on practice the last day or two, and I don't know how these guys in real life adjusted, because the hybrid is making so much of a difference in how this car feels. So, it's head down these next few months, and hopefully we can put a good show on the iRacing IndyCar Pro Series.
With the win on Sunday in the PRI Hoosier 500, what are some of the spoils of your victory in terms of the prizes and kind of unique partnerships that came out of this event?
Yeah, previously we haven't really had much of a prize pool for this, so it's really cool to see the work that Tanner and Ryan have done behind the scenes for us. Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, obviously, you get a good cash prize. I believe it's like $400. And then, honestly, the one thing I'm most excited about, because they look really cool, is some Speedway prints, which I'm looking forward to putting my walls under some really good IndyCar ones, especially one of Rossi winning the 2016 500. And then, you get every year we've gotten a milk bottle, which is, I guess, most noteworthy prize for the community, because everyone kind of looks forward to getting that. I believe you get a winner's ring, which don't really know what that entails, but hopefully it fits, I guess. And one other thing is Acoustic Motorsports provides a watch to the winner. So I'm really thankful for them supporting us.
Very cool stuff. Robert, congrats again on the win. enjoy the holiday season. Hopefully you'll have some time off before things really pick up on the sim racing side, as you mentioned, next month.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.
Thanks to Robert for joining us. We'd love for you to interact with us. You can always find us on social media. Our handle is IndyCar Podcast on Twitter /X, also on Instagram, on Facebook. Just search for New Track Record. You can email us your questions, comments, rants, concerns, newtrackrecordpodcast@gmail.com. Support us via Patreon, patreon.com/newtrackrecord. Thanks to Reed and others for their support. And as always, download and listen on your favorite podcasting platform, whether that is Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find your podcasts. Mailbag time. A couple items to get to, including an email. First entry on the mailbag. A couple of comments on the IOB. And this from Mini Triceratops. What a name. Ray Evernham is an interesting choice, but he sure knows how to find loopholes himself, so maybe he'll be good at making rules and enforcement. I also think he'll bring some old school mentality to the rules, so allowing some rubbing without being too strict.
Talked about that last week a little bit about Ray Evernham and his ability to try to find every advantage as a team owner in NASCAR, and now he'll be on the other side of things with IndyCar. Do we feel like between now and the start of the season, there'll be I want to say a rewrite of the rule book, but a refinement of the rule book? Or do you think that's too quick of a turnaround for this new group?
I mean, on one hand, I don't know. I feel like they'll evaluate the rules, and then the following off season, I mean, you really look at it, it's 2 months that they have.
Right.
You know, it's January and February. So I don't know if it's truly enough, but I think they'll read through and flag some things maybe for discussion, or things that, hey, maybe this will be a point of emphasis during the season, and then we'll see how that works and then move on. I don't know. I would be surprised. There are always revisions, right? But I would be surprised if it's drastic going into 26.
I would agree. And I feel like maybe some fans feel like there's going to be some huge changes or adjustments to the rule book prior to the season starting, and I just don't see that happening.
Also, wouldn't the time to do that be in 2028 when we allegedly get this new car?
Yeah, allegedly. And new engine formula. Now, who's going to be making these engines? Who knows at this point? But yeah.
A couple of comments on the PRI Hoosier 500. This from Poet Shevchenko. The work that iRacing has done to accurately model the audio from the cars from different perspectives, in-car, trackside, the stands, is truly incredible. Like, I even noticed watching the race that the fans in the stands, like, they weren't stick figures. Like, they moved around a little bit, which I thought was pretty incredible. They've done a great job. And then this from Lynn_IndyCar. Good day to have the PRI 500 being the first Sunday with no racing in any major series. Yeah, I would assume Tanner and Ryan did that by design. I think they know what they're doing.
Yeah,
there.
they do.
And then finally, we got an email, newtrackrecordpodcast@gmail.com. This from Jerison, and he talked a lot about how, before we'll get into his questions, but he has 7- and 8-year-old boys. They don't care about IndyCar, but he has a 10-month-old daughter who basically has to sit through the races with him when he watches, which, hey, yeah, I fully get that. So here are his comments. He said he doesn't normally watch races live, so he has to kind of come back, but here are his off-season thoughts. Rate the race for 2026. Every race is a 7 out of 10 unless the following happens. If Pato wins, it's a 10 out of 10. If Mick wins, it's a 9 out of 10. Would be 10, but 1 point deducted because it's RLL. Ouch. If Pelot wins, 3 out of 10. If Rob wins, it's WTF out of 10. Polls. If Justin posted the poll, I agree with whatever Caleb chooses. If Caleb posted the poll, I don't choose anything, but instead make a comment trying to justify the obviously wrong answer. Predictions. Dale Coyne won't find a single driver for his last entry, so he splits the seat between Romain Grosjean for street courses, Connor Daly for ovals, and Linus Lundqvist for permanent road courses. That, or he decides he will do the races himself. Mick wins at Indy Road Course. Joseph Newgarden leads every lap of the 500, only to run out of fuel on the last lap and is passed by Will Power. Power wins multiple races, each time by passing a Penske driver on the last lap for the win. New independent officiating panel does an awesome job, but IndyCar fans hate them anyway. I think that last one is going to be spot on.
Yeah, of any of those predictions, I think the last one is most likely to come to fruition.
And then his miscellaneous comments. After I win the $1 billion Powerball lottery, which team or teams should I invest in? Or should I front the money for the Mexico race instead? I would say front the money for the Mexico race.
Yes.
Because that's a one-time thing, whereas a team is as long as you do it, it's a money pit every year.
Yeah, I think it's more likely that you make some amount of money back investing in the Mexico race than you do any team in IndyCar.
Ganassi has a great opportunity to revive Al Unser's Johnny Lightning special paint scheme with Simpson's new Sunoco livery. That is an excellent point.
Very good point.
I love it. Maybe we'll see that for the Indy 500. Who knows? And then finally, if the idea hasn't already been suggested, y'all should publish a random split air driver of the week coffee table book. I'll be the first to donate to the Kickstarter. Thanks. That's from Jerison, who is Laser Disco on Twitter /X, but sending us a lengthy year-end mailbag email submission. I think that finishes off the mailbag on a high point for 2025.
Coffee table book would be fascinating.
It would.
Pick it up and just randomly pick a page.
Think about it. Every page, you have a picture of the driver and or car, and then you go,
yes.
It sounds fun.
Also
sounds like a lot of work.
Also sounds like a lot of work, yeah. If somebody out there is a publisher and all that, they could get a hold of us.
Hey, Octane Press.
Yeah, that's just what they want to do.
If you want to chat with us, we can maybe figure this out. That could be some fun.
Supporting John Oriovitz and his great books, and then they're going to lower their standards down to us.
All right, time for news and notes, and only a handful of items to dive into. First off, this coming down actually just minutes ago as we record on December 17th, Wednesday morning, in the WELT studios. Chip Ganassi Racing announces its 4-driver lineup for 2026 in the series formerly known as Indy Lights. Bryce Aaron, Niels Coolin, so they're both back, and then James Rowe and Carson Etter make up the 4-car lineup, which we knew they'd run 4, but now it's confirmed.
I think Etter is the only rookie.
I believe so.
In Lights, so solid lineup, and I expect Ganassi to maybe make a year 2 jump. Very much getting back into the swing of things last year.
Yes, I would expect that as well. Some notes from the Racer.com mailbag. Marshall Pruitt talking about Indy 500 entries. Brian Reinbold will be 2 cars again. Just a question of who will replace Hunter Ray. Connor Daly, obvious name to return there. Andretti will have an extra car. Aaron McLaren has Ryan Hunter Ray. Ganassi wasn't planning on doing an extra car. Foyt has been reluctant to do so while in its alliance with Penske. Carpenter will be back as a 500 entry. Castro Neves back with Meyer Shank. Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan will have Sato back. He says there are a few other names I've heard of as potential 500 entrants, but Prima's driving the bus on engine availability. And he said if they're in, the entry list should mirror what we had in May, and I only hear that they're in, but if not, it could get fun. So that's the update there. Really, the update is there's really no update.
Yeah, the update is familiar names, familiar teams floating around, but everybody's waiting for Prima.
And then also, as far as the independent officiating board, he said as far as race control, he wouldn't be surprised if Kyle Novak is back along with Max Pappas and Ari Leineck. So if you're expecting some dramatic shift, don't expect that. That's his hunch. That's not, some confirmed thing or rumor. That's just his hunch that it will be the same 3 in race control.
And I don't see the benefit of coming up with this independent committee and then replacing everybody in race control as well. So you would head into 2026 with all new people, both in race control and this rules committee. I just don't think that'd be the best idea. I know some people feel like IndyCar just needs to blow up the rulebook, blow up race control and rebuild it, and that very much would do it. I just don't think that's the best idea.
So that's a look at the Racer mailbag. Other news and notes items. In fact, he had another update on IndyCar 2028 on Racer.com. I finally caught up on the series. Good stuff. In terms of the engine formula, and there have been conversations with other manufacturers, as we know, nothing named, nothing confirmed, but first you got to get Honda and Chevy back, but they're in constant communication. I don't know. I'm actually less concerned the more this goes on because they're trying to work to get everything aligned. I hope
so. And I don't know if it was maybe even Marshall Pruitt in one of his mailbags or stories. It benefits the OEMs to hold out as long as possible to get the best possible terms.
Yes.
Correct? And so there's probably an element of that. There's also an info gathering about the new car and the new spec and what it's going to look like, and seeing the return after 2025 season of sponsorship and viewership and all that, and kind of wanting to keep an eye on it in 2026 before pulling through. All those things kind of go in. It is still a concern to me until it's no longer a concern, because we've been IndyCar fans for a long time. We know how things go. It is never always goes the way you hope it does. And just when you think things are going in the right direction, the rug gets pulled out from under the series in some way, whether it's a fatality or a big sponsor leaving or a big track, whatever. So it goes with the territory of always worrying about, well, what's going to happen next? And this is what's on my mind as we go into 2026, still with no definitive answer from Honda or Chevy. We know Honda is interested in dabbling in NASCAR. We know Honda is getting more aggressive in Formula One. So is that indications that Honda is more aggressive in motorsports that will include IndyCar? Or are they getting more aggressive in what they see as series that offer a better return than IndyCar? And I thought an interesting story, or interesting part of that story about the engine formula was the OEMs basically asking, okay, we're not worried about, in terms of getting in front of the eyes of people. Like, is this helping us sell cars?
Yeah, kind of like the old, win on Sunday, sell on Monday mantra.
Exactly. That's kind of what the OEMs are getting back to, or at least Honda and Chevy is this going to help us sell cars? And we always see the big Chevy layout since they came back to the series at Indianapolis and in the infield and all that stuff. But that's what they want. That's what they're targeting. Is IndyCar going to help them sell cars? Period. And I'm not smart enough to have the answer. We're not smart enough to have the answer. Hopefully IndyCar is smart enough to have the answer and prove to them that, yes, being an IndyCar does help you sell cars.
First on race day.
First on, and first to the 500.
Yeah, well, if only Ford would come back. We know that's yes. Not a reality anytime soon. Other news and notes items. Team Penske is celebrating its 60th anniversary in 2026. Year-long effort. They'll have special events, liveries, and exhibits. Full write-up on Racer.com on that. So we should see some very special and cool liveries throughout this process, one would think, including the Indianapolis 500. Other notes, Indy 44 found this and posted this graphic. So Fox Sports is going to keep airing IndyCar races. And so as we stand this afternoon, December 17th as we record, they'll have Barber on FS2 at 4 Eastern. On Friday, December 26th, at 6 a.m. Eastern, they'll have Detroit on FS2. On December 28th, at 1 a.m. Eastern, they'll have Gateway on FS1. Also, let's see, I skipped a couple. Wednesday, December 17th, they'll have the Suncio GP, which is what, the IMS one, right? At 6 Eastern, so that's tonight. December 26th, 8 a.m. Eastern, Portland on FS2. And then the other one, Road America on FS1, 1 a.m. Eastern on Sunday, December 28th. They've had a few others as well. Let's see. Indy 500's on consistently. I mean, tonight at 8 on FS2, December 26th, 3 a.m. at FS2. Music City GP, December 26th, 10 a.m. on FS2, and the Indy 500 again, 10 Eastern on FS1 on December 27th. So plenty of time. Just set your DVR, search IndyCar. You'll get some race replays. They've also been airing I was going to say Drive to Survive. That's not right. Why can't I think of it? 100 Days to Indy.
I was going to say IndyCar 30, or what was it called? IndyCar 36?
100, yeah. 100 Days to Indy.
Well, no, the old school
Yes,
one.
the old school is IndyCar 36. Yeah. But yes, so they're airing those. It's been recording on my DVR to go back and watch as well. A couple other quick notes. 3-day tickets on sale now for St. Pete. GPSTPete.com. Anything that we missed? There's not a lot going on. Dale Coyne still hasn't announced his, we had the Halloween deadline, Thanksgiving deadline, December 15th deadline, Christmas deadline for his second driver. So we shall see, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime in 2025.
No, I think we're going to get into 2026 before we get an answer to that. I've actually been rereading Black Noon.
Oh, nice.
About, if nobody's read it, about the 1964 Indianapolis 500. And had read it several years ago when it first came out. I want to say it came out, I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe-ish. And rereading that, and it's very fascinating to read the second time, just kind of knowing more than I did 10 years ago. And so just going through the 64 500 pre 500 and then leading up to the 500 and just everything that went into it, and guys jumping in and out of cars. You had, the rear engine cars and the front engine cars, and Foyt that year was going back and forth. And then he had a deal with this. This is just the Wild West it was. So he had a deal with Goodyear and helped Goodyear develop a tire over the off season. And then his mechanic said that tire's not going to work for the race. And he says, okay, but I really like the Firestone tire. Can I put the Firestone tire on? And Goodyear's like, no, you have a contract with us. And he's like, but I don't like your tire. I want to race with Firestone tire. It's just, it's fascinating. It's so different than what it is this year. So if you've never read it before, Black Noon, the year they stopped the Indianapolis 500, about the tragic wreck in 1964. Great read by Art Garner. So check it out, or if you're looking for a late Christmas present as well, make sure to pick it up.
And Art Garner wrote the AJ Foyt essentially biography as well. Part 1 already out. I can't remember if Part 2 is out as well. I think that's coming next year, if I'm not mistaken, but you can check that out as well. Okay, Tweets of the Week time. First, Mario Andretti with his annual Christmas tree post. To everyone who has cheered us on this year, it means the world. With grateful hearts, we show our tree. Ours always looks the same, I guess, because tradition is what makes it us. Tried and true. Send me a picture of your tree or whatever tradition you have to share. Always look forward to that post each and every year.
Very much so.
And then finally, from Indy Oreo, as we mentioned him earlier, the process of creating a, quote, new spec IndyCar is taking so long, they have to wonder if anyone really cares anymore.
Yeah.
He's got a point there.
He does.
Unfortunately. All right.
Man, I thought you were going to have a nice, positive, tweets of the week. You ended the year on a downer. I'll try to pick it up with the random splitter.
Okay, well, here we go. Our random splitter driver of the week is...
So we're going to the fertile ground of the 2008 Long Beach Grand Prix. And done. Final race of the Champ Car World Series. And going with Frank Pereira.
Hey.
Mr. Frank Pereira, born 1984 in Montpellier, France, and joined Conquest Racing in February of 2008. He had signed to compete the entire season in 2008 after a successful test with the team. However, shortly thereafter, Champ Car and the IRL unified, canceling the Champ Car season. It was announced on February 25th that Pereira had modified his deal in order to continue with the team in the IRL. He lost the ride after 3 races due to funding issues stemming from the bankruptcy of his sponsor, Opes Prime, was an Australian securities lending and stockbroking firm which suffered a dramatic collapse in 2008.
I was like, what do they do? And you said stock, and I knew exactly where this was going.
And then if you go to Opes Prime, their Wikipedia page, some of the drop-downs include criminal charges, committal proceedings, and criminal proceedings. So take with that what you will. He did race in Indy Lights for Guthrie Racing for the remainder of the 2008 season. Made his debut in the 7th race of the season at Iowa. He won at Infineon Raceway that year, his 8th start in Indy Lights. He returned to the IndyCar Series for the point-scoring finale at Chicagoland, driving the 41 for A.J. Foyt. And then he was signed to the car into the brand new Super League Formula Championship in 2008, which was basically a single-seater regional series in the UK. So that was it. After that, he got into some GP2 racing, some endurance racing, and that was pretty much it. So for his career, he had that one finish in the Champ Car World Series, and he also raced Atlantics also in 2007. I should have mentioned that. But in 2008, he finished 6th at Long Beach for Conquest Racing in 2008. So we got to give him some props for that. But other than that, it was Indy Lights. And then he did 24 Hours at Daytona as recently as 2018. He is still in IMSA, actually.
No, he actually did Daytona this year.
Yeah.
It was 12th.
So still racing.
He's second at Le Mans this year as well.
Yeah, so he's still racing. Frank Pereira, he is just 41 years old. So was very, very young.
Very young indeed.
When he got into, so what's that? Let's do 17. So he's about 23, 24, I guess, at the time of 2008. So one and done in the 2008 Champ Car World Series, which of course was just one race, and then a couple races that season in IRL, and that was it. This week's random split era driver of the week, Mr. Frank Pereira.
All right, that does it for us for 2025. Thanks to Robert Maleczka for joining us, winner of the PRI Hoosier 500. For Justin Kinney, I am Caleb Hatch. We wish you all happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and everything in between. We'll talk to you in 2026, probably first full week of the new year, and look forward to getting back and talking IndyCar then. But for now, enjoy the break, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us on another edition of New Track Record Podcast.